Anything boring is almost impossible to do. If you can work your life in a way that you are able to turn the tasks that are boring into tasks that are fun, then it'll be easier to be successful.
Faigy Liebermann, certified ADHD coach, course creator, and author of Own Your ADHD. A property expert trained by Samuel Leeds, she inspires people to turn challenges into success.
Richard Branson was saying about being dyslexic, he thinks helps him to be on that, managing the process, managing the people, seeing the bigger picture.
Every person was born with a set of tools, and those tools you need in order to activate to get things done in life.
What's an executive function?
Three core executive functions: self-awareness, working memory, emotional self-regulation.
But what about adults who think maybe it was before ADHD and things is there anything we can do that can help?
Too many adults believe it as a fact that they're broken, there's something wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with you.
Tell us more about what you do.
Oh my gosh, that's a very broad question. Okay, well, thank you for asking me on. And I hope that my answers and insights today will help you and your audience.
Yes, I'm pretty sure they're going to help me. I'm quite keen to have this conversation.
Okay, so I'm a ADHD coach and I have got certification. And that is really, really important because there are a lot of ADHD coaches who don't have certification. And so far in England, ADHD coaching is not really regulated. So you can have a mental health nurse who then does a bit of online training and they're an ADHD coach. You can have anyone really can call themselves an ADHD coach. So I've gone all the way to get the best coaching credentials for ADHD.
Yeah.
So,
you know, people would come to you as a form of sort of, is it mostly adults or do you work with children as well? Because I think of this kind of thing as something that is part of the education system or
interesting
should be,
say that.
but actually, yeah, but then actually, I get the impression that you work mostly with adults.
I do. Yeah. I work mostly with adults. Most ADHD coaches work with adults. There's only a handful of ADHD coaches in England who work with children.
Oh, really? Only a handful?
It's quite a specialized niche. And personally, I have seen that one can get far more powerful success outcome if you work with the parents and the teachers than if you work with the child.
Okay. So it's more about the stimulus rather than...
Yes, because children, for various reasons, children who have got ADHD in many areas, they're way, way ahead of their peers. And in many areas, they're way, way behind their peers. So if they work one-to-one with someone like me, they'll find it very hard to take that lesson that they've learned with me and then to apply it to other areas of their life. Whereas parents and teachers will be able to do that more easily. So even if I get calls from mums, I say, well, I can work with your child, but I'd rather work with you. And the youngest age that I've ever worked with ADHD is about 14. And I didn't really want to, but the parents wanted me to. I don't work with an adult under about age 21. Because it takes that long for the brain to become ready to get the help.
We'll get back to the interview in a moment. First, do you ever feel like the system is designed to keep you broke while the rich get richer? Well, we're here to help you flip the script. Our podcast and newsletter breaks down the 4 phases of wealth. Ditch bad debts, make your money work for you, take smart risks, and systemize for true freedom. If you want tips and exclusive content to build your wealth, click the link in the description to join our newsletter and take your first step to becoming self-unemployed.
Right, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's not what I think most people would expect.
Yeah.
Most people think it's sort of, people get diagnosed with ADHD at school and...
No. And also parents, I was the same. Parents fall in this trap of fix my child.
Yeah.
Doesn't work, darling. You have to first fix yourself to be able to fix your child. We have to first help ourselves and see which areas we need tweaking, addressing, and then that change spills over to the child. And it's much more powerful and it's quicker and easier.
And I would have thought, well, I don't know, that implies that having ADHD is wrong. If you want,
Why?
if a parent, or they think it is,
They think it is.
Yeah. If
Yes.
a parent is saying fix my
Yes,
child.
that's why they come to me.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong.
Exactly.
It's just that, but maybe you see something I talk a lot about on the podcast is the education system and how we're all conditioned to live a certain life in a certain way, stay in our lane, and maybe ADHD, dyslexia, things like that, they don't fit it so well to the way they want us to live, but that doesn't mean
How did you know that?
valuable.
Yes, they are very, very valuable.
Yeah.
So in my book, Own Your ADHD, that one there, I talk a lot about the brain's differences if someone who has got ADHD or any type of neuro, difference. And it's mainly the brain's executive functions that have been wired differently. That's my angle. So you can come at it from all different angles.
So hang on, what's an executive function?
Okay, executive functions are a bunch of tools that you have in your brain, and they're found in a toolbox in your brain over here, prefrontal cortex. And those tools you need in order to activate, to get things done in life. Right. Every person was born with a set of tools in their toolbox. Mm-hmm. And some of the tools are just mentioned, but it's more in my books. How to start things, finish things, decide with ease, memory, emotional self-regulation, time management, organization, plus more. Flexible thinking, that's a big one. Being self-aware. And we are about age 30 plus when all of those executive functions are fully formed. Now, if someone has ADHD or any neurodifference, it can be far more than 30 plus, if ever.
Right.
Now, that's that's one way of saying what they are. But I actually believe something else, which is that which comes on to your point before. If we have some form of executive function deficits, okay, quotes, it's not deficit, it's difference.
Yes.
Okay. And the different way of thinking, or should we say, how should I put it? Different way of how those tools work may not fit into the neurotypical society.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they say that ADHD is a superpower, yes, but only if you know how to use your brain's difference to be able to work within the system, flexibilize, work out the system, all that.
Yeah.
Then
do you think that dyslexia is a similar thing? Because
Yeah, it is. In my book, and I can't remember the exact statistic, but it's about 40%, if I think it's far higher than that, of people who have dyslexia have ADHD. And there's a few different types of dyslexia. I've got one type of dyslexia, the numbers type, dyscalculia, that really held me back when I first started properties. And it took me longer to learn the numbers. Now, I think I know them better than most people. So it takes you longer to learn something new, but then when you get it on a very deep level.
Yeah, because I've always been very interested in dyslexia, because although I was never diagnosed as a child, I was sort of sent off for special classes and stuff. So I think I'm dyslexic, but I've never had the official word.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing recently that there is a sort of even a physical difference in the way the brain is.
Could be, yeah. I believe that.
And it makes you have a less attention to detail, which is why.
Not everyone, though.
Right.
Not everyone. It's just a different way of thinking and understanding, and not being in the box and seeing things that people who don't have that brain wiring cannot see.
Yes. So it is an ability.
Pointing it out.
It's an ability. It's not a disability.
Strength.
It's an ability.
Yeah, it's a strength. And I think, and this is only my thinking, that if one has ADHD, one probably may have some form of brain difference in thinking, dyslexia, and the other way round. That's from what I've seen with my family, myself, my family, and clients. Some form of difference.
Yes.
The two are linked.
So I think I think it's, rather than saying it's a disability, it's a diffability, and it's in
just
fact
a difference.
I think
it's a difference.
but I think actually because only maybe 20% of people are dyslexic, I think, something like that, 15, 20?
It's more.
Is it more?
I think it's more.
But
It's more.
but it's
It's my opinion.
But in some ways, it's those skills, those abilities that dyslexic people have are more rare, so they're more valuable.
Exactly.
And the more, I think, the number of entrepreneurs who are dyslexic is much higher than the number of regular people who are dyslexic. Apparently, this is what Richard Branson says, because he's dyslexic, and so there's something about the way the brain works that makes you good entrepreneurs. Will make people good entrepreneurs. And I think, as you say, I think ties in with ADHD as well.
100%.
Okay, so how do I know if I have ADHD? Or should I find out? What?
Okay, first of all, there's a very good PDF download if you go on to my website. And if any of those points resonate with you, maybe you might have ADHD. Okay. But you see, I'm a ADHD coach and I don't diagnose. Okay.
Yeah.
But I know more than the psychiatrists about ADHD. Definitely. Because I deal with it every day. They just go on textbook, tick, 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 tick. And I do the real hands-on, real life ADHD stuff. So how do you know if you have ADHD? Oh, that's a good question. I could tell you the answer. There's the 3 main core criteria and all that. You can just look that up yourself, okay? I talk about executive functions.
Yes.
So when I work with clients, mostly female women, the typical profile is totally overthinking everything, massively, very, very creative brain. Anything you can make simple is made complicated naturally without even trying. What another symptom? Overwhelm, anxiety, massive in women. That is a typical profile. Plus all of the other things are thrown in. Organization, time management. I've had a couple of ladies tell me, well, they're very, very neat and tidy, so they don't have ADHD, but they tell me that they have to have their space so well ordered, and if they don't, then they just fall apart.
Can't do anything.
That is a symptom,
like
be a symptom of ADHD. It's not OCD. I went to a very well-known psychologist just once, about 25 years ago, and I had my bag with stuff, and I was just leaving. I couldn't find my keys, busy, messing about in the bag. He said, the guy said to me, "You may have OCD, because you keep on looking at me." And it didn't sit right with me, and I didn't know why. And then when I learned about ADHD, I realized it's not OCD. What was the guy talking about? It was working memory deficit. Okay, books all about that. Talking about what it means is how many things can you keep in the forefront of your mind at once without having to write it down. If you have a good working memory, about 7, neurotypicals, maybe, don't know. Not me. Me is 1 or 2, often it's 0. And that has a massive impact on all of your other executive functions, time management, organizing. You can't, where to put my phone, I don't know. All that stuff, right? We live in the now or the not now because we forget about there's something happening in the future. I've got appointments, right? It's massive.
So something that happens to me is if I've got a lot of things on my to-do list, I know I need to do them all, but I can't decide which ones to do first, and then I end up doing none of them.
Oh, I love that. Okay. That is a typical executive function deficit. Decision making and prioritizing difficulties, and a big core source of that is the working memory deficit, because we have to have at least 2, if not 3 pieces of information right here in your mind for you to be able to say, right, not this, yes, that.
Yeah.
But if we have a poor working memory, we're not going to be able to do that. We'll feel confused, dizzy, anxious. What should I do next? All that type of thing. I had that the whole time with clients. That's classic.
Yeah, and I do sometimes get this sort of cloud where I just can't get anything done that I need to get done. It's really difficult to describe.
I know what you mean.
How would you describe it?
Is it a block in your brain?
Yeah.
Block. Yeah. Every client tells me about this block. Every client, and it's a real physical thing. Physical. Yeah, it's a real thing. It's not something made up in your head. It's real. It's that you can't activate.
Yeah.
Can't activate.
But then sometimes, but then when I do, let's say I get one little job. This is why sometimes I put really little jobs on my to-do list, like brush your teeth. And then, because then just the act of ticking that one thing off kind of like puts a crack in the wall and I'm able to get through.
Yeah. So there's a reason for that. And I'll say it in really simple language. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a brain neuroscientist, whatever you call it. I'm just simple hands on the ground tools. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I say things in very simple ways that anyone can grab, and can, take that knowledge and then put it into action. So in your brain, there's two small pouches, one on each side of your brain. Nucleus accumbens, one here, one there. Tiny, tiny, very, very small. And inside those pouches, there's a hormone called dopamine.
Right.
Now, whenever you want to start something, you have to first release dopamine into your prefrontal cortex by your forehead, firing up all of your executive functions, the tools in your toolbox to get going. So there's a secret. How do you actually release dopamine to flow over here? Well, sometimes, as you said,
the act of ticking something
the act of ticking it off makes you feel, oh, zing, oh, that's good. Dopamine flows to your prefrontal cortex, firing up your brain for action, and it's there already, so you find yourself moving to the next job. But if you don't know about that little trick, there's a block because it's sealed shut tight in your brain. You cannot activate. You cannot activate without tools.
Right. So what are some other tools that people can use?
You might not like this one. You might think it's weird, but I think once I say it, you'll see how it ties into our whole interview. Talking loud to yourself.
Aloud.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Now, we've been taught.
I do talk to myself.
I bet you do.
You should.
I bet. Why are you judging yourself? Okay. Now, here is where I have every single client. As we, go through the sessions, they tell me, oh, I do that. And I share a tool. Oh, I do that. And I say, well, yes, darling, you do, because there's one thing that I want you to get out of the coaching is that you're doing all of this already. Trust yourself, and I will teach you why it works. That's all. Yeah. Okay. So back to what we were saying, and I totally forgot. What was it?
Talking to yourself.
Right. Thank you. There's a phrase in English, talking to yourself is the first sign of madness.
Yeah.
Everyone says that. So, but that is part of the matrix.
The
narrow box conditioning. You're crazy to talk to yourself loud. Well, actually, I tell the clients, you're genius to talk loud to yourself. Okay.
And the matrix doesn't want geniuses.
Exactly. Spot on.
Yeah. Okay. So, and maybe things like dyslexia, people think differently. They end up becoming entrepreneurs more. The matrix wants workers.
Yep. Matrix wants workers. Matrix wants obedient slaves. Yeah. So I've been in the education system. Well, I was in school, but my daughter, I've got 5 children. My daughter, she's 26 now. So how many years is that in the education system? All the way, it's about 22 years. And now she's got children and they're in school. And I'm seeing the same thing happen. It doesn't matter which type of school, what, private, public. ADHD and all these neurodifferences, whether it's ASD, dyslexia, you can say there's been progress in the last 20 odd years. I don't believe there has been much, if any, progress. And there's a reason for this. Because, as you know, whoever the powers be don't want us to feel special for being different. They want us to feel put down because they know that we're a danger to the whole society. Does that make sense? We think differently.
Yeah.
So we're made to feel a bit less than, a lot less than. We've got a disability. ADHD is a disability. ASD is a disability. Or ASD is, autism spectrum disorder.
Right, yes.
Okay, all of that type of thing is a disability. So we're made to feel less than, so therefore we may not feel so confident or even think we can do what we need to do in life. You know,
or it makes
listen
us
to
feel
a calling.
Like what we want to do, the way we want is not normal.
Exactly. So when I talk to parents, I only say this if they ask me, but basically they need to homeschool their kids if they want their children who have ADHD to be successful in life. Now, when I was younger, I used to tell parents, well, if you want your child to come out of school with their self-esteem as much intact, if you can call that, as possible, it may be a good idea to get them assessed for ADHD and get them on the meds. Because unfortunately, that is one important way for some people, not everyone, okay, right, to get through schooling.
Yeah.
Because the schools do not, many schools, and this is case
but
by
is
case.
Getting through schooling
Exactly.
really that
Hold
valuable?
on. Exactly. So I work with each client case by case. But if they want their child to get through school, I'm not here to say don't get through school. I'm here to plant some seeds, but basically help them the way that they want to be helped. So I just drop my ideas here and there. But some of my children were on meds to help them get through school. And now that I know what I know, would I do it differently? Probably. If I would have known then what I know now, I probably would have taken them out of school. But at the time, that I did the best actions with the understanding that I had then. Yeah. So we always have to be kind to ourselves. But with my son, he's now 13, the youngest child, I've got far more time for him, far more headspace. And I've actually half pulled him out of school. He's on a Flexi-schooling idea, which is a bit of a loophole. It's not a statement. Statement is, I think it's called AHCP nowadays. When you get a child extra hours of one-to-one help and it's paid by the council. Okay. He couldn't get that because he's very high functioning. He couldn't get that. But we've got something else which I think is a loophole. Flexi-schooling is when you have with the school a plan where the parent and the school sort of teaches the child. So he's in school from 9 till 12. That's what works for him. Then he's home for the whole day. And he does maths, English. He's got all sorts of mentors and tutors that teach him the things that he wants to learn. He's on his bike. He goes here, he goes there. And weekly, I send an email to the Senko with what he's done. So it's all tracked. That's a really, really good way of teaching because he's in school still, so he's got friends, but yeah, he's out of school.
Yeah, because when I was going through school, like I said, I was sort of sent off to some special classes because I was in certain areas, and my parents did also pay for some extra tuition and stuff, but it was always to bring me up in the things I was behind in.
Exactly.
It was never to make me excellent in the things I was good at.
That's the system, and it's still the same. It hasn't changed a drop. I don't think it's changed, and I think it will never change.
And no one's ever done anything amazing because they were average at everything. Everything
True.
Amazing has been done by someone who was excellent at something.
True.
Even if they were terrible at other things.
True.
So I think that there needs to be a change in, to make people excellent. And even there was this, they wanted to get rid of grammar schools and schools of, because they want to bring everyone down to the same level. You know what I mean? They
want to make people just, sardines in a box.
Yeah.
So I tell the parents, and again, I tell each parent what they have to hear, if you understand, that it's that you won't change the system. Stop trying to fight the teachers and the Senko and the head teacher. Just go and do what you have to do. But that's scary. I mean, I was terrified when I actually said, right, I'm going to pull my son out of school. I was beyond scared. He was actually suicidal. I know. He was actually he said that he wants to die. He was that bad. He had just gone on to high school. I knew that high school would not be right for him. And I did mention to him, maybe I should homeschool you. He says, no, Mom, let me try it out. He didn't want to feel different. 2 months in, he was not happy. And it's not the school's fault because they're really good. They were trying their best. It's the fact that he doesn't fit in the box. He's not teachable, right? Because in school, they teach auditory yak, 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 and he sits for 3 hours. Oh my gosh, that is impossible. So I was really scared. And it was at the same time that I also started properties. So I was at my desk doing my, right move research. And he was next to me on his desk doing his stuff on his, desktop. And it was really hard. It was really, really, really hard. And it took me about 3 months till I found all the tutors and all the teachers and got everything sorted out. But the Senko was brilliant. I was so amazed. He said, yeah, no problem. Yeah, well, yeah. So
what's the Senko?
Senko is Special Education Needs Coordinator. Every school has one.
Right. Okay.
So you just have to do what you have to do.
Yeah.
Fear and all.
This is for kids. What about people like me?
And he's now doing really well. He's flying. He's like brilliant.
But what about adults, people like
Yeah.
me, people who are listening to the podcast, who think maybe they had a hard time at school, maybe it was before ADHD and things were recognised as much. Is there anything, what should we do now? Should we just, is there anything we can do that can help us?
I think first of all, you need to know that you're not broken. There's nothing in you that needs to be fixed. You are perfect, you're whole, and you're just right. You're good enough the way you are. And we have to sit with that. And we have to internalize that. And that takes time. So the change happens from inside you. Then it will spill over to outside, to your actions. So we just have to sit with that. And because too many adults have, they just believe it as a fact by now, that they're broken, there's something wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with you, nothing wrong with your brain, nothing wrong with how you think, nothing wrong with the fact that you've got mess in your house that you can't even think of having anyone over. Nothing wrong with the fact that you messed up how many jobs and you got fired. Those jobs probably were not the right fit for you. You know, they were just not the right fit because they didn't fit with how your brain works.
So yeah, I mean, I did very badly at school. Well, not very badly. I just didn't do particularly well. Below average with sort of GCSEs. That was completely demoralising. But in my family, to not go on and do A levels would be terrible.
Yeah.
If I could go back now, I would leave school at 16 and become a joiner or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Hands-on job. Hands-on. Your hands.
Yeah, hands-on. Then get into property investing.
Exactly.
with those
ADHDers
skills.
are really good with their hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
And doers.
I was always much better in those subjects like art and craft.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was good at maths though, but I wasn't. I was good at things where you need to figure something out, but not so good at things where you need to remember a ton of stuff. So I was never good at history.
Well, that is the working memory deficit coming through. But probably if, let's say, maths, history, whatever subject, if it had real life meaning to you, probably you would just understand it very easily. It's when it's this theory, when your brain cannot hook it onto a real life 3D situation, it's too vague and the brain cannot internalize that.
So whilst in some ways I feel like the education system tried to teach me I was stupid, I never fully believed it. And now I've gone the other way.
Yeah.
But it took me a long time.
I know.
It's only really the last few years that I've thought, actually, the way I think different to other people. And that's what this podcast is all about. It's why I started the podcast. That's why I named it Self-Unemployed. It's kind of
I love that name. Oh, it's
to
brilliant.
tie in with that different mindset that we have. And I now strongly believe that it is the right mindset. It works. So, where was I going with that? Yeah, where was I going with that?
Working memory deficit.
Yeah.
There we go. I just laugh.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's good.
Yeah, so that's one of the things you mentioned as the critical...
Prefrontal cortex.
Yeah. And there
executive functions.
Executive functions. At the start of the podcast, you listed off a bunch of things. And in my head, I didn't want to interrupt you, but in my head, I was ticking them off.
Yeah.
Thinking, I got that. Can we go? Maybe we could go through those.
Let me find it in my book. I've got an overview. Here we are, page 35. So we've got here 11 executive functions. Right. There are 3 core executive functions, and those 3 core are the central pivot. And then all of the other executive functions work around them. So if those 3 core ones are working well, all of the others work well. And if those 3, one of them or all, are not working well on that day, then all of the others are not going to work well. So it's like saying you've got think of your car, and your car has all those dials and buttons, dashboard, all stuff there. If any of the very important things, and I'm not very car friendly, but
you've got like the electrical system,
the hydraulic system,
the engine.
Thank you. Okay, so if anything is not, so if anything is not working up to par, the car won't work well, and it might not work at all.
Yeah, they will interact.
Basically, they all work with each other.
So let's go through those.
Okay.
We do it one by one, and then
we will.
Yeah, I'll tell you if I have any experience of it.
Okay, so the first one is self-awareness, understanding yourself. Now that is, if we have any type of neurodifference, this shows itself up as one's mind voice being quiet. So let me just go back one step. Everyone has a mind voice that guides you through life. If we have ADHD or any type of neuro difference, the mind voice will be quiet when you need it the most, or it will be set far too loud, the inner critic, imposter syndrome. Okay, I've spoken to many, many clients, and they tell me what they tell themselves when they've made a small mistake. And it's shocking how they talk to themselves. So part of this is nurture, part of it is nature. Okay?
Yeah. And something that I just thought of, we all say stupid things sometimes, but there are certain things that I've had, conversations I've had where I've said something really stupid, not necessarily offensive or anything, but just things that I, for whatever reason, I now wish I hadn't said. Those things haunt me,
Yeah.
even from 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
I still remember them on a regular basis, like a PTSD or something.
Yeah, exactly. So I work with the clients. I'm a coach. I'm not, so I don't really give tools like therapist gives. Okay, I give just hands on the ground tools to help you live your life from now onwards, moving forwards. Okay, therapy takes you from the past, helps you understand how the past got you to the present moment. However, many, many people tell me that what I share with them is quite a lot like therapy and psychotherapy. I've never learned that before, but I've done so much work on trying to understand myself and help myself that I naturally give that over to them. So your idea, you said, so part of it is actually that someone who has ADHD, the brain is wired a little bit more to the negative, very black and white. And that's a good thing actually, which I'll soon tell you why, hopefully I'm going to remember that I have to tell you why. But the downside is that we tend to be very self-critical. So the mind voice is set too loud.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's work that you have to learn to focus more on what you're doing right and get that voice loud and focus more and praise yourself more on what you're doing right. And clients can find that difficult because it's not natural. So I said about the black and white thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we tend to have very high standards. That's often why we get things done to a much higher level. But the downside of that is that we can tend to be very critical. Yeah, can tend to be very, very critical of ourselves if we don't do something to that high standard that we want it to be done. Perfectionism.
Right.
Get it?
Yeah. Yes. And they say that perfection. No. What is it? Don't let good be the.
Well, I say that you can want to do things perfectly, but don't expect it to be done perfectly.
Yeah. Or was it don't let perfection be the enemy of good?
Something like that. Yeah. Okay, I know what you mean. So for this one, for the self-awareness executive function, the main skill is, as we said, talk loud to yourself, praise yourself, talk to yourself in the mirror. You did really well today. Oh, wow. Laugh at life. Laugh at yourself. Now, I'm just saying it, but it's hard.
It's funny, these are things that I never used to do, and I did used to feel very negative and very self-conscious about myself. Think of my self-image was quite negative as a child going through school. Yeah. But there are things that I've definitely kind of taught myself over the years without what you're saying.
Yeah, probably because as you got older, your brain's executive functions developed naturally. It took time for them to actually develop.
Yeah.
And they just naturally improved.
What was the next one on
the list? The next one, oh my gosh, my most favourite one, working memory.
Yes, we've already mentioned this one.
Yes. Imagine like you're standing on a bridge and the bridge is very firm. And the bridge is like the current time frame right now. Then you look to the right of the bridge and you see, oh, that's like the past. The left is like the future. If that bridge is firm, you'll feel confident as you walk over it. Calm, confident, fine, know where you're going, know where you've come from, all that. If it's a bit shaky, if it's a rope bridge and it's windy, you'll be terrified, anxious, dizzy, be really scared. So if someone has a poor working memory, and I'll soon say what it is more, then they may likely feel dizzy, terrified, anxious, depressed. And what do you think happens? They go to their GP. And what does the GP do? They chuck pills at them, okay? Anxiety pills, depression pills. And every client has told me, yeah, they helped a bit. Not really, they helped a bit. And many of them have told the doctor it didn't really help, and they are made to take them more. They said, no, take them. Maybe there's some funding going on here, I think. I think that the doctors are being maybe funded to hand over these pills to their patients.
Yeah, I think that stuff like that definitely goes on in America, the way they...
I think it's happening here. People don't realize it's happening here. And every single one of those clients, women mainly, who say their symptoms to the doctor, they're never asked, oh, maybe it's ADHD, and it's all executive function deficit. Maybe it's ADHD.
I think the problem in this country with the previous episode was with Dr. Minho, so we talked a lot about the NHS.
Yeah.
But I think because GPs are so overworked.
Yeah, I feel sorry for them, you know.
Yeah,
I really do.
They often just want to prescribe something
and get you out,
so they move to the next patient. And that's all sometimes all they can do.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah. It's just the system. It's the system. Here we go, system. Yeah. So it's how many items of information can you recall at once? Mm-hmm. So I had it a lot with clients, myself, with talking to someone, and I was going to say something and I forgot, like
what I did a minute ago.
Yeah, and I did with you. So the trick here is to get some rescue phrases in your pocket and just pull them out.
Right. Well, so give me an example of a rescue phrase.
Well, first of all, don't be ashamed that you can't remember what you were going to say. It's normal. Okay? Accept yourself. Laugh at yourself because you're perfect, you're whole, you're just right the way you are. And just say something like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot what I was going to say, or what did you like? Just, I can't think of a specific example, but when I work with clients, we go through that. We can spend the whole session just on that.
Okay.
So working memory, that's huge. Now, people look at me and they say, oh, Faigy's so organized. She's got 5 children. She's got 2 careers. She's a superwoman. I'm not. Because my brain is like jelly, and the only it is jelly, if you know what I mean. But my sort of thinking process, okay. Yeah. And the thing that holds it up is the systems that I use. So I always say that you cannot change your executive function level, okay, but you can change the way that it works through systems, scaffolding. Think of a house that's just, falling down. So you get poles, prop it up. Yeah. Okay. So I live my life by tools, and I know that if I don't use any of those tools, I'm gone. So back to the lady who said that she's very organized. She has not got ADHD because she's so tidy and neat. And or she might think that she has OCD, or and I say, well, no, I don't know if you have OCD. Maybe you do, but I don't know if you have. But she said that if things aren't messy, she can't think straight. That may be a sign of working memory deficit, because one of the best ways to help you think is to have a tidy environment. Now, tidy doesn't mean tidy; it means only owning what you need.
Yeah.
So in my past life, I was a home organizer, and I would go to the clients and think, oh, she's tidy. What's the problem here? Well, I would open the cupboard and I say, yeah, there is a problem here because there were no systems. Okay, so I don't say neat and tidy. I say
do you think there's a difference between something being clear and being tidy? Because something can look very tidy, but then you don't know where you put anything.
Well, if it's clear,
it's not functional.
If it's clear where you put everything, as you said, you have to have a home for everything. And I always say that your home can be as messy as you want. I don't want a home. I don't think a home or an office should be neat and tidy the whole time. It's fine to be messy as long as every item has a home that you can put the item away to.
Yeah. I've been renovating renovating a house to put as a service accommodation recently, and I've been working with a friend of mine who's a builder, and I'm constantly losing tools. Yeah. He's always laughing at me when I say, where did I put the drill? Where did I put the knife?
Yeah, that's working memory deficit. By the way, we didn't once talk about focus, you know.
Well, we're still going through the list, aren't we?
I know we are. But people think about ADHD as focus. You can't focus. I haven't said the word focus yet on purpose because ADHD has been misnamed and misdiagnosed and mis-whatevered. It's not about attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. It should be called emotional, which is now the next part, emotional self-regulation difference. So what's that? Emotional Oh, what is it? Working memory, I can't remember. ESMD, maybe? Whatever.
ESMD.
Yeah. It's about having very intense emotional reactions, positive and negative. If we have ADHD or any neurodifference, we are wired differently. We are wired that we can actually potentially live life more richer, more fuller, because we can feel things deeper, okay? Now, the downside is we can feel things much more intensely as well.
Yeah.
Deeper.
Things
So you
are
have to
not
learn,
necessarily-
you have to learn how to manage your emotions. And that's not taught in school, is it?
No.
So we're very intense when we have a good idea. We're like, woo!
Yeah.
And then when got a bad day, we're like,
Yeah, that's definitely, that resonates.
Now, a big source of that is working memory deficit. Because if we have a working memory deficit, we also have other types of memory deficits, like forgetting things that happened recently or long ago. We find it hard to make, what's the right word, connections between the similar things that happen, patterns. So if we're in a bad mood today because of something that happened, in that moment, we can very easily forget, well, it happened last week and it was fine. And it happened last month and it was fine. Now it's like it's happened and that's it. The whole world has ended. So we feel the down more intently. And then when we're in a good space, we think, we'll be like this forever. And we forget, well, after, and that comes the down, darling, you know. So it's the same idea. Working memory deficit comes in with emotional self-regulation, works together.
Okay.
And self-awareness. So if in that moment, when we have that down moment, if one can talk loud to yourself and say, hold on a minute, it'll be fine. Let's do this. Let's think of that. Then everything will start to work better. But the secret is, how do you activate that voice in that moment? That's the hard one.
Yeah, that definitely resonates with me. I definitely feel like I have those highs and lows.
Yeah.
In terms of motivation and you know, because when I'm motivated, I'm really motivated. When I'm not motivated, I'm really unmotivated. Like I said, it's almost like a brick wall. There's a
brick wall, block in your head. It is a physical block.
So what's the next thing on the list?
Oh, there's loads. Okay, so those are the three core executive functions: self-awareness, working memory, emotional self-regulation. Okay. Then you've got all of the others. Motivation. You tell me about how does that show itself up in your life? Motivation.
It comes and goes.
Comes and goes.
And sometimes I'm very motivated, and other times I'm very unmotivated.
Is there a pattern?
Not that I'm aware of.
There usually is. If you have any type of neurodifference, let's call it ADHD for our purposes, you really need to understand that your brain is wired up for interest. Anything that's interesting, your brain will do. If it's boring, if it's in some way overwhelming, if you can't work it out, your brain cannot do it. And your brain shuts down, can't function. And people tell me, and I feel this, if you don't have the right tools to help you, you feel like you're dying. You feel can feel physically ill.
Yeah.
And you can't activate. You can't get started. Or maybe you could start, but then suddenly you stop. Or why do you push things off? Procrastination. That is another one of the 11 executive functions.
Oh, definitely procrastination.
Yeah.
Well,
procrastination.
In periods. Like it's weird when I have to do things. Like I've been recently. Well, even now. The last few months I've been very, very busy with some property stuff, back to back, 3 renovations, and I just couldn't stop.
Yeah.
But when the pressure's off and my time is my own, it's up to me to kind of find the next deal or whatever. I can waste days.
Okay, so here's the thing. 2 things. First of all, your brain is fired up to do interesting tasks. Yeah. Anything that's boring, let's say that last 5% of the refurb that you can't finish, it's boring.
That is always the hardest.
It's boring. It is the hardest. tidying up the tools at the end of the day, it's boring. Okay? Anything boring is almost impossible to do. Now, I bang on about this, but people don't understand it well enough. That if you can work your life in a way that you are able to turn the tasks that are boring into tasks that are fun, interesting, and if you can try to do your best to only do the fun, interesting things, then it'll be easier to be successful.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, in some ways, I feel like doing the refurbs is not something I'm good at. I used to be good with my hands, but now when it's come to property, I'm not so good at doing the painting and things like that.
Right.
I'm actually much better at the numbers.
Okay, how come? What changed?
I don't know.
Did you get boring? Did you get boring?
I suppose, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I suppose you're right.
Hit nail on.
That was a rhetorical question, wasn't it?
It was boring. It's boring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, what did you say that I had a thought about? You said, sorry, this is an ADHD moment, by the way. You said about that you can't do the tasks.
It can take days. I can procrastinate for days when there's not.
Yes.
When I don't put that pressure on
yes,
myself.
right. Because you need outside deadlines to get you going. You find if one has ADHD, one may find it hard to get that get up and go going. Okay, as we talked about earlier on. Okay, dopamine going. So we need outside sources to get the dopamine flowing. Okay, which is an outside deadline. Someone needs you, or there's a job that someone needs you to do. But if you need to do it, it's not the same motivation. So we always have to find a way to get the dopamine released from your nucleus accumbens. And a big way is to have outside deadlines. Yeah. So many people put things off and they don't know why. And then what they do is they kill themselves because I'm terrible. Why can't I do it on time? My friends can do this on time. And that's the worst thing to do. That kills all of your pushed drive. That is the worst thing, to talk badly about yourself. Again, being self-aware. You have to talk nicely, lovingly to yourself. And if we have ADHD, boring tasks are boring. And don't expect to ever do them on time unless you have tools. In my home, if you would enter my home, you would see it's tidy, it's fine, I'm functioning, I cook for the family. I do things at the last minute on purpose.
Yeah. But if there's no last minute because there's no deadline,
then exactly.
Yeah. But isn't this kind of, for want of a better word, normal, not just ADHD? Don't normal people find boring things more difficult to do?
Okay, so they could then, but they may find it. They can find a way around it. Right. If we have ADHD, if we don't have tools to help us, cannot do it. We cannot do it. It's really that strong. We cannot do it without tools to help you. Yeah. So that is a difference.
Because I had a lot of work to do on the podcast, making lots of clips and stuff, and this is early days when I was editing it myself.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I went away on a sort of working holiday, thought a change of scene would help, and I just couldn't do anything.
It's too boring. Yeah. Dead boring. So something that's so boring, just don't do. Now that's not being lazy, that's being clever, that's being wise. Because we only have a finite amount of time in a day to do things. So rather get done the tasks that you love doing, the tasks that you're very good at, and the tasks that you hate doing that are boring. Probably many people could do that task for you, so get it out the way. Now,
well, and also people could, like, when I stopped editing the podcast myself and outsourced it, they do a much better job than I ever did. So
there you
thank
go.
you.
There you go.
They'll be the first people to watch this.
There you go. Yeah. It's the same idea. There you go. So we're trying to be good at everything. Again, that is the trap. ADHD trap is trying to be good at everything. Perfectionism. You cannot be good at everything. You have to choose what you want to focus on and choose what you're not going to focus on. And that's not lazy.
No.
Most of my clients tell me they're lazy and I want to cry by now.
And I do think that
they're not lazy.
Yeah. You go back to what Richard Branson was saying about being dyslexic. He thinks helps him to be on managing the process, managing the people, seeing the bigger picture, knowing what this person does, how that will affect what this person does, rather than having that sort of detailed view. It's a wider view. And that's what
So,
helps
yes,
him
some
to
of
be
them,
a good businessman.
yes, some people have that wider view naturally. Some have the more detailed view naturally, even though they have ADHD.
Okay.
It's both.
Right.
Some, a very small number of people have both. They have the wider view and they have the detailed view. And that is, I think that's, I've seen that only a few times, and that's genius. That's like beyond genius. And that if they don't
Someone
know
like
how
Elon
to,
Musk is probably like that.
if they don't know how to use that in the right way, it can torment them because both are fighting against each other.
Yeah.
The next one is flexible thinking. Now, let me share with you, most of my clients have this as a massive strength. Creative brain, okay? The way that we do things is not in a linear, neurotypical fashion. We do things differently. So my books, they're like nice and thick, 200-page each book. They're very well thought out, written. I did it way before AI. This first one, Own Your ADHD, is all about ADHD, the stuff that we don't talk about, that, that I'm, sharing with you. Then I have part 1 and part 2, banish your overwhelm. First, you have to learn how to check out all your extra stuff, the clutter. Then you have to learn how to make methods, systems of what you have left. I said that. Why did I say that? Yes, right. So if you would, read my books, they're clear, well thought out, but you don't know that the way that I got to this stage was not clear and not well thought out. It was just sort of jumping from, point to point. Then I made it all flow. That's how the ADHD brain works. So in school, we learned about when you write an essay, you do the intro, the middle, the end. Forget about all that. Yeah, forget. You just start wherever and you end wherever, and then it will all work out together. That's how the ADHD brain works. It works by joining dots together with lines, and somehow it looks organized. So the outcome may look the same, better, if I think, than someone who is, neurotypical, because they do things 1, 2, 3, 4, linear fashion. We do things differently. So ADHDers, women very much so, we're overthinkers, creative thinkers. So if I ask a client to do a simple task, she'll ask me a bunch of, questions about that task. I say, darling, just do that. And there's all these thoughts going on in the brain, connections, creative brain.
Yeah.
And that's a strength. Now in school, the teachers say, be quiet, don't ask questions, right?
Just get on with it.
Get on with it. But that is
their thing makes you think about something else.
Exactly, but that is the person's genius coming out, the overthinking or creative connections.
Yes.
But if they don't,
which creative connections is another way of saying distraction.
True.
Or that's what the teacher would say.
Exactly. Yeah. Focus. Yeah, exactly. So for far too long, people have, internalized that they're stupid or they're overthinking or they're, call it what you like, but it's genius, creative genius. And part of the ADHD success is learning how to simplify your life, because we will naturally overcomplicate things. Making dinner, doing the laundry, anything simple, you have to learn skills to learn how to simplify it and how to systemize it, because we have that natural genius that we overcomplicate it.
So you say you work with clients.
Yeah.
I'm kind of interested in working with you because I definitely think these things affect me. And so what does that look like, and what's the point? What would be the benefit for me?
Okay, so it looks like, well, here in the UK, there is funding. If someone has ADHD or any type of neurodifference, dyslexia, ASD, etc., there may be funding for them to get coaching.
Right.
And you may be able to get it without having a diagnosis.
And you are a coach.
I'm an ADHD coach, and I help a lot of people get funding. In the last 9 months, I've helped 200 people get funding. How it works is you get the funding from Access to Work. It's part of the DWP. So they help people get funding to help them start a job, start a business, stay in work, any type of work. related
as
support.
someone who's self-employed,
Yeah.
in their language,
Yeah.
self-employed,
You can get
you can
funding.
still get it,
Yeah, you can get funding. And it's not easy to get the funding. There's a 15-month waiting time. However, I'm the expert in helping people, and I have got ADHD. So my brain always thinks of the endless possibilities and ways around things. And there are ways to help you.
Right, so what is the funding for?
Okay,
Is it for the...
it's to help the person who has got ADHD succeed at work. Okay, so they give a few different types of funding. Specialist equipment, ADHD coaching. They can give you a PA who will do the work for you that you find impossible to do because of your ADHD. So they'll give you a pot of money and then you can hire your own PA staff.
Right, so you can hire a virtual assistant.
Yeah,
to...
there's ways that there's things that you have to do, criteria, etc. But it's not easy to get the funding. And if a person tries alone, usually they don't get much, if at all. However, I know the system, and that is the bulk of my work, getting funding for the clients. So I do the lot. I do everything. I get on the phone for them. I talk for them because I know how to speak to the people who have to decide. Yeah, that's what I do. So if anyone thinks they have ADHD or ASD or dyslexia or anything like that, there is help out there, and people don't get it when I say you may not. You may be able to get it even if you don't have a diagnosis. They don't get it because they're so conditioned with the matrix that even if you're finding it hard, talk to me and I'll probably be able to tell you whether you can get the funding or not. And I've turned people down. I've said, I'm very honest and clear.
And there's a stigma. It's exactly. Like some people they don't want to be labelled as ADHD.
Okay, so here's the thing. I don't care. Yeah, I don't care if I'm called ADHD or whatever. If I can get funding for it and help, who cares? So we have to really learn to come out of the box, look in to the box, go back in whenever we want to, and then come out again. That's what I say. Make sense?
No.
So the box is the matrix, conditioning. Okay. I have a disability, it's ADHD. I don't think it's at all any form of disabling. But if it helps me get funding, then I'll say I have ADHD for a while to get the funding.
Yeah, well, but I would prefer to frame it as like, yes, it's not a disability, it's a different ability, a diffability.
Correct, but if I would like the funding, I need to call it what they want me to call it so that I get the money.
Yeah.
And then
but I have no problem with calling it what they want to call it. It is what they want to call it.
Exactly.
It's just
people don't like that.
But I just want to remove the stigma. It's not a disability, it's a diffability.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with me, there's nothing special about me.
Yeah.
I have the potential to have extraordinary abilities.
Exactly. However, many people don't even want the funding because they don't want to.
Yeah. When I said to my dad that I'm having a chat with you, and because I think I might have ADHD.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh no, you don't have ADHD." It's
right.
almost like he would be ashamed to have a son with ADHD.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is how it should be.
Exactly.
I wouldn't feel ashamed if I got a diagnosis. I would wear it with pride. Same with the dyslexia. I've never been diagnosed with dyslexia, but I would wear it with pride if I did, and I would like to.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah, I think it can help to get actual assessed and to get the diagnosis, because then for sure, and it's sort of like a closure, if you know what I mean. It can help.
Yes.
For that way of thinking, because then you think, maybe I have, maybe I don't have.
Yeah, and it creates more of a procrastination because you're going back and forth. At least then okay, this is
exactly.
So these are the tools I need to use.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. When I used to make videos, we did a music video for a band, and the drummer had been diagnosed with ADHD. They were a young kid band.
Yeah.
But he was such an amazing drummer for his age.
Wow. Genius. Talented.
And he was someone who was lucky enough that he had this talent that had been recognised and nurtured.
Yeah.
So this is what I think is wrong with the system.
And it won't change as far as I'm concerned. I don't think it will change. So we have to change ourselves. We have to make the change within ourselves, and within our families and don't start to expect anyone or anything to change. Make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, well, but things have changed, don't you think?
Not
Things have
really.
got...
Not really, because I don't know. I work a lot with clients who have jobs, they're, employed, and I haven't heard one good story of a client who told their co-workers or their boss that they have ADHD and they want support. I haven't really seen it.
Right, okay.
Haven't
Yeah,
really.
in
It's
the
just
work, in the
lip
adult...
service.
Yeah.
In schools as well, maybe a little bit, but I don't know.
But I mean, when I was at school, I never heard the word ADHD.
Yeah.
I think
Now I don't know. There's still a long way to go, and I think we need to parents have to become much more informed and really advocate for their child. It's just much harder work. It's very hard. It's still hard. I don't know if that bit will change. Parents have to really learn the skills so that they can empower their children, no matter what.
Okay, well, that's been amazing, Faigy. It's been so good to talk to you. I definitely want to explore this a little bit further and read some of your books. So if people want to get hold of you, what should they do?
They should go on to my website, focuswithfaigy.com. There I've got info about my books, my courses. I've got about 15 courses, 11,500 students.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a lot of students. And if they would like funding, there is funding available if one has ADHD or dyslexia. You may actually be able to get the funding even though you don't have a diagnosis. They should just pop onto my website, have a look there, and message me. I think I've got my number there, and just send me a WhatsApp message and we'll get cracking.
Great. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. Please do get in touch with Faigy. Sign up to the newsletter if you are interested in becoming self-unemployed, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks for sticking with us to the end of this episode of the Self-Unemployed podcast. The fact that you're still here tells me that you are serious about building wealth, finding a higher purpose for your life, and beating the system that's designed to keep you down. Now take the next step towards financial freedom by clicking the link in the description to join our newsletter if you haven't already, and take your first steps to becoming self-unemployed.